Hey man, what's up?
How are you?
Very good, very good. Welcome to RockEyez. Um, Outlier. Tell me a little bit about the beginning stages of the band when you all got together.
Oh boy. So I started the band in I started recording the first EP in 2014. I did not have a band. It was just me and the producer. And I found band members probably like in 2017, right around the time I decided to release the EP. Um, and yeah, I did it that way so I can find like-minded musicians to play the type of stuff that I wanted to play, and make it easier versus getting five egos in a room and trying to just what do you want to sound like. So
Right. Wow. Wow. Was it easy picking the musicians that you actually wanted? Did you go through a lot of people?
I went through one lineup, like full lineup change. It's touring really does a lot to certain people. It helps you. It'll filter out a lot of musicians. You get to learn about each other's personalities a lot, and it also a lot of guys decide if this is what's really for them or not. So touring and spending time together and just going through the motions of being in a band really can, I believe, filters out the right and the wrong people for sure.
Right, right. Now the band's from New York, Rochester.
Yeah, so I'm from Rochester. The other two guys, the bass player and the guitar player, from Buffalo, and Mike, the drummer, is he's more 315. So he's in like the Geneva. We he's more like towards he's more east of Rochester, more towards Syracuse.
Right, right. Now, is it really difficult, to get your name out there as a new band and because I know how many emails I get and how many people email me per day, for press and between two and 300 emails. So, it's difficult even for me to weed out, all the bands that I really like that I want to interview, which was you guys were one of them. So,
Thank
like,
you.
as it goes on, you say, no, that's not for me. That's for me. It got to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a very flooded market. I think musicians in general are just, there's a lot of us out there. We're all trying to achieve the same things. And, I mean, you can only do so much, honestly. You just hope that your music sells it for what it is. You got to get back to basics. You can only do so much gimmicky stuff on TikTok and all that. But at the end of
Right.
the day, it's about producing a good product. To me, at the end of the day, if you write good music and you have a good story, I think that's what's going to be at the end of the day what people latch onto the most versus again some trending dance thing.
Right, right, right. Wow. Is most of your stuff done in-house or you have a label or what do you?
Yeah, so we're all in house. We've been DIY for since the beginning. We've had some label offers along the way, but uh, nothing was too fitting for what I was looking for as far as the
Right,
label. So I didn't want to settle. I've released on labels in previous bands and stuff, so I kind of learned from my past,
right,
you know, uh, self and I kind of wanted to do it a little differently this time. I wanted to be worth something a lot more, and I wanted our contract to reflect that. So that's kind of why we go about things the way that we do.
right, right. Uh, I feel that a lot of the bands do everything in-house now. They rather reap the rewards of their own music and stuff like that instead of giving it away and and then you get your own merch and stuff like that, which is a big help for a band going on tour. Even if they did go on tour, just by the internet, the merch helps a lot too. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. What kind of merch you got?
So I've always in the beginning I was hiring graphic designers. I was having friends that were graphic designers do some stuff, but then I realized I'm like, man, what's another way we can save money? So I come from an art and music background. I was like, my majors growing up and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try to learn simple graphic design work and go from there. I kind of know what I was looking for anyways, and I knew it would take some time to develop, but I started just designing all of our stuff for the most part,
Mhm.
because, and I actually took it from a different standpoint. I was like, you know what? I want to sell something that to like, I mean, because we're going to go on tour with bands and there's going to be people that don't know us. So I want to appeal to people and go, wow, that's just a cool shirt. And then,
Right.
so I kind of went from a branding
Uh-huh.
point, you know, like, and I wanted people to just get interested in the band just by looking at the t-shirt designs, or at
Right.
least just kind of go, I'll wear this because this looks awesome and I like this design. So
Right.
um, I we kind of went that way, and yeah, I mean, with the internet now and a lot of things like that, there's a lot of ways for bands to generate some income for themselves. Um, you know, there is a lot of advantages to being DIY for sure, and you know, reaping your merchandise if you have a good relationship with a print company that you can, um, you know, have a good margin, you know, as
Right.
far as what you buy for wholesale, and you know,
Right.
go from there. Um, you know, like then yeah, you definitely make some good money that way for sure.
You're talking about a brand name and stuff like that. Like, I mean, Joey Arena. I mean, like, there you go. You know, that's an awesome name. You know,
That's my
that's
birth name right
awesome.
there. That's
You
a
know,
birth name,
it's
man.
like,
People thought
holy shit, Arena. Oh, wow.
I had friends that oh my god, I share this story all the time. I love it. But a buddy of mine worked at a car dealership, and I had known him for like 9 years prior to this. Was like many years ago. But I went to him, and he's like, "All right, I just need to make a copy of your license to
Uh,
run your credit and everything." And he goes, "Oh my god, dude, your last name really is Arena?" And I'm like, "You've known me for like 9 years. How'd you not? What do you think this is a stage name?" So yeah, so like I have friends that like that I've or people that I've known for a long time that still kind of go, is that really your last name? And I'm like, yeah, here's the license, you know, didn't
yeah,
change it. This is it.
uh, you know, it's hard to believe, actually. You know, like, you know, but you got the proof, so
Hey, you know, I'm hoping that I was named this because this is what I'm meant to do. I'm hoping.
right.
Who knows?
Wow.
So
You guys put out a lot of product. You know, a lot of singles, a lot of videos, a lot of everything. Um, and now you got a new one, Living Dead. And tell me, do you like doing the videos or?
oh,
Ah,
I love doing videos. I am such a visual guy. I'm a huge movie buff. I'm you know, a horror fanatic like so many people out there. But I love all movies. I've never been much of a like a reader. You know, I wish I could get into reading a lot more. I always hear the books are way better than the movies for most of the
right,
time. Um, but yeah, I'm a visual person, and I like taking the original intention of the lyrics, like you know the message behind the lyrics, but I like
right,
putting a whole different twist on like the story for you know the music video,
right,
because you know like art again being an art you know major growing up, I loved my favorite thing about art is that they would always say like you know like what do you take from this painting, what is it that you take,
right,
because you know it's whatever you kind of gain from art, because art is you know what you find good is subjective, and you know it's all like what you gain from it. So I want people to kind of have fun with our music and relate to it however the way they can. And for the music video of Living Dead, I mean, we went complete horror comedy, like you know a little bit of slapstick. We try to do as much as we can with obviously this 3 minutes and 30 seconds we had to play with, but me and Tom, the director, we kind of went back and forth with a couple concepts, and you know we showed up, and you know Stanley the actor is this big gentle giant, and he was playing our monster and stuff, and it was just honestly it was such a fun video. The editing was super fast for it, and we got it shot and edited in a matter of like 2 days. Honestly, it was Tom worked so fast, and he's just an amazing director and videographer, and we wanted like Three Stooges meets Frankenstein. That's kind of
yeah,
what we were
cool.
going for. So
Wow. Cool. Now, when you go out on tour, is it difficult? I'm sure there's no tour buses no more and stuff like that, and you know, going from town to town and food and hotel. Tell me how difficult that is.
Uh, you know, it's obviously pretty difficult with gas prices
Oh
today,
yeah,
but
they just went up
um,
again.
I would
Yeah.
say that I don't know. I don't really think it's that difficult, honestly. I don't mind it. I like meeting new people in every city. I'm a huge tourist. When I go on the road, I'm like the guy that'll break off from the band and I'll just go see the sights and try the
Right.
food and
Oh,
meet the townies and stuff. So like
right.
I enjoy that. I'm a pretty social person, and I like talking face to face. I do way better, uh, you know, than like text or, email and stuff like that. So I enjoy the interaction and seeing new places and stuff like that. I would say that probably the thing that only sucks on the road is when you get sick. I mean,
Right.
as a vocalist, like I'm, well, me as a person, I tend to, would get like sinus infections, maybe like 2 a year. So it's like,
Right.
as a vocalist, it's like, I played last year on this. We went out with Gemini syndrome last July and August, and I got this horrible sinus infection. I mean, like there was like,
Right.
not to get graphic, but there was like
Yeah.
blood and all this crap, coming out, and like everybody was, we were all concerned. Like I was like, oh, I don't know if I got COVID or whatever. So we went home. But I finished the show out and we went home just for a couple of days, all to find out it was just a really bad sinus infection. And then I went back out and then I finished the tour. But it sucks, especially as a vocalist, because that's my instrument. So like, yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I think that sucks about touring. Other than that, I don't mind it.
What are some of the shows when you were in your younger years you got to see live in concert?
That I got to see.
Yeah.
Well, my first concert ever was Papa Roach. I was 15 years old.
Right.
My uncle had taken me for my birthday. It was amazing because they had just dropped Infest, their first, like Infest had just came out.
Right.
Last Resort was all over the place. It was all over it was just amazing. And I was like definitely the youngest person there, I think. And then like this mosh pit broke out. So like the bartender picked me up from over the bar and stood me up on the bar because I almost got crushed because I was like this little 15-year-old with all these like big biker guys.
Wow.
So that was like my first concert experience. And then I saw a lot of great bands after that. I went to Warped Tour in my a couple of years after that, and a bunch of Warped Tours, and that was amazing because that's when like Warped Tour used to be, I mean it's always been an amazing tour, but like they had really put a lot of diverse acts on. I mean, I saw 30 Seconds to Mars before they had like really blown up, and there was I got to see Katy Perry before she was big too, so it was like really cool to see all that. And then my favorite concert I've ever been to, it's like a big surprise to people, but I went to Tony Bennett, and Tony Bennett was by far the best concert I've ever been to in my life. Best concert.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you jump in that mosh pit?
I started it actually. I beat all the old ladies. Like they were throwing them bouquets of flowers too, and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. But no, it was quite an interesting show because everybody sat down, and it's like, you're just, I don't know, he's telling his life story in between the set, and it was just amazing. But different vibe, but I loved it. It was awesome.
I'm also a concert photographer. I work for a magazine, and some of the bands I got to see, which are a little dangerous, like Testament, Exodus, King Diamond, bands like that. When they get that mosh pit going, I'm backing away.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You
get caught in a wall of death. You got to watch out for that.
Right. Well, is there any goals you like to reach at this band?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's obviously like the biggest one would be to be the biggest band in the world. That's that's the goal. But I think a personal goal is if I love most of all, sincerely, when people say that my music has inspired them or saved a life, or that it has done so many things. Like I on the last tour, one of my favorite moments of the last tour was this kid coming up to me and telling me that he's relapsed like 4 times in his life, and he's been on his deathbed. And I gave him like after the show, after we performed, I hung out at the bar with him.
Right.
And he's like, can I get you a drink? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'm not drinking though, and this and that. And he told me his life story, and he said that our music like saved his life. And it got him sober, which was pretty wild because we're not really a band that's not really what our message is. But the lyrics of our music, because I do write a lot about overcoming and self-strength and stuff like that. And he said our music like saved his life, and it was like probably to me that's like one of my favorite moments ever when it comes to music, is people saying things like that. And that really means a lot to me. So I think that's like a goal, is to touch more lives, I guess, and
Yeah.
to inspire as many people as possible. And I know those are like very common goals, but those are definitely what I latch on to the most.
What's your family think about you going into music and recording albums or CDs or whatever? How they feel about that?
Surprisingly, my mom's always been very supportive from the get go. She would, so guitar is my forte. I started playing guitar when I was 11 years old, and I used to drive her nuts on school nights. I would be downstairs. My room was in the basement, and I would turn my amp on. Like, I thought it was very quiet, but it wasn't
Right.
quiet at 2 a.m. And I would just hear her pounding on the floor and go to bed. And like,
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
I'm sure I drove her nuts, but I mean, she's always been supportive. She never pushed anything down my throat. She said, she just is like, I want you to be happy, but I want you to also be able to provide for yourself and take care of yourself. Cause I didn't grow up with like money,
Right.
and we kind of just like, my mom, did enough, was able to provide just enough to, keep a roof over my head for, most of my youth. So, yeah.
Right. Wow. If you had a dream come true to, tour with a particular band, who would that be?
Such a tough question. I probably got to say Metallica. I'm not gonna lie. I love Metallica so much. It's like they're one of my favorite bands, and I think it would be amazing to tour with them.
Can you not drive a car and have Metallica come on and turn that up a little bit?
What's that?
Okay, I said when Metallica comes on your radio in your car, you can't turn that up a little bit, like all the way?
Oh, all the time, all the time. I mean, dude, I go back. Oh man, I'll play Creeping Death just so loud, and drive my neighbors nuts sometimes. I don't even care. I'll
Yeah,
play all of it. So yeah, I mean, I love all Metallica. I love the Metallica that people even hate. I mean,
right,
recently I try to like, I'm like trying to find like new love in Saint Anger, and like
right,
trying to like look at it from an artistic point of view, and really trying to like block out my initial thoughts of what I had about that record. But
right,
I love Metallica. I mean, how can people really rag on a band that's been around as long as they have and
right.
survived the amount of decades? Like, honestly, I don't know. People are haters, but I think Metallica rules, and we wouldn't have so much. The metal we have today would not exist without bands like Metallica.
Right, right. I really like that symphony stuff they did with the orchestra behind them and stuff
That's
like that.
another,
Was
yeah,
amazing.
yes, man.
Yeah,
I love that record.
right?
I jammed that record in high school all the time. Oh
Yeah,
my god, I
yeah.
love. Oh, dude, it's so good when they played Fuel
Uh-huh.
with the symphony. Like,
Yeah.
so good,
I
man.
don't know how you can't like that.
It's because people are elitists. I don't know.
Right,
I think they're great. I think it's so good that they do things like that, and they really push the envelope. I mean, that's what Metallica's been doing since the beginning. It's just
right,
all they do is been pushing the envelope and trying new things, and you can't hate them for it.
right. Now, your first disc came out, I guess, Stay the Night. Was that the first one, 2014?
Oh yeah, we did a cover in the beginning. Well, I did a cover in the beginning with the producer Evan. Yeah, so uh, that was just a cover, and that was just to feel out, kind of try to find a sound within the band. I Every time I start a project, I like to do a cover,
Right,
but find an identity within the cover, because what you're doing in the beginning is cutting out good songwriting. So
right,
you only have to worry about the other 50%, which is finding your identity a little bit.
right. Yeah.
So I kind of do that, and that's why I ended up doing that cover. But that was I try not to go back and listen to that.
Wow. How much has the band progressed? Well, you did the single by yourself, but I mean, um, from the first disc to now, how much has the band changed? You think?
I definitely would say there's a lot of maturity and growth over it. I would say that I focus a lot on my vocals, so I would say there's a lot of growth in my vocals. I try a lot of new things vocally. Um, I'm always trying to be a little bit more uh, stylistic or animated, or try new character in every song. But I'm also within reason of if the song calls for it. But like musically, uh, Kane, the guitar player, he wrote the riff for the intro riff, the main riff for Bulletproof. So the guys are starting to step up and like
Right.
do some writing as well. But they all stick within reason of what we're doing. Um, I mean, even I've kind of gone in the studio and just I think with Outlier, I think the main thing that I've always said is like I want to keep our fans guessing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I don't want to put out two of the same song, but I also want it to still sound like it comes from the band. And I'd like to think that I have a weird enough voice to maybe tie in our sound together if we can experiment within the sound.
Right.
So I'd like to think that like I have a lot of room to experiment, but keeping it Outlier because look back at the Beatles and that band like they changed so much as
Right.
well, and I think that it's such a weird thing for artists who, to me at least, I get why they do it. It's probably like a safety net for them, but like a lot of people pigeonhole themselves, and I don't like to do that. So in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was going back to new metal when I was starting this stuff before new metal became cool again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Before there
Yeah.
was like this second wave of new metal, and I remember like it was a lot of people that I grew up in the music scene with. It wasn't like cool to like Corn anymore. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
but I was watching as I was like writing the EP one night. I was like mid writing, and I turned on Corn, like watching their live set from Woodstock '99, and I'm just like, dude, this is like my roots. This is what I
Right.
grew up on anyways. I'm just going to get back to what my roots are in music, and that's it. And that's why I created Outlier. And Outlier was originally supposed to be the name of the record, but I love the meaning of what an outlier is because it's
Right.
like a misfit, and that's what I've always felt like in my entire life. I don't care about fads or trends or
Right.
like I got to do this to get here. Like I don't care, and like I just want to write music and stuff that's like it's just my diary, my audio diary. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Cool.
But yeah, I would say like I would like to think it matured, but I don't know. I guess
Right.
that's the question for the fans.
Cool. 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 How you feel about like vinyl coming back?
I think that's amazing. I love all of that. I love anything. I'm hoping that even cassette makes a stronger comeback too,
Uh,
because I mean, dude, there's something about tape at the end of the day. I love analog. There's a warm sound to all of it. So I
uh,
appreciate it. I had a chance to record analog before I started Outlier, and I never got to release any of that stuff. But I listen to the recordings every now and then, and I appreciate recording to tape a lot. And this
right.
like, there's a skill to it that I think that got lost over time because you just have to be pretty damn good to play
Right.
all the way through versus punching and going and punching and going and
Right.
but vinyl. I always wanted to put out a vinyl. I think if we ever
Go ahead. You
Oh
back?
no, yeah, I think I was gonna say I think it froze, but
It did. It
oh
did.
okay.
Keep on going. That's okay.
No, I was gonna say I would love if we ever do another record. I would love to make a vinyl cut for sure.
Right. Cool. 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 What's the feeling like when you have a crowd of people waiting for your autograph or a picture with you? Is that cool or what?
Oh my god, it's amazing. I think it's I think it's the greatest feeling in the world. There's nothing more flattering than people wanting you to sign something and spend time with you and buy your stuff. I think it's the greatest form of flattery that a lot of musicians tend to overlook, honestly. Or I shouldn't say tend to overlook, but I think a lot of people take it for granted and they just expect it. So,
Right.
I mean, and I tell people like, we the last when we were on tour, I was wearing like this tactical vest on tour, and it was like part of my image for the year. And uh, somebody on the last date of the tour, we played
Right.
Greensboro, and he wanted to buy the vest off me.
Uh-huh.
And I had two vests that I originally made for that tour,
Right.
and I was like, you know what? Like, let me think about it. I never thought about selling it, and he came back to me again at the Mercy, but he was like, hey, did you think about it? I would love to buy that vest off you. And I'm like, let me get back to you about it again. Give me another 15 minutes. And I thought about it, and I went on the bus and I talked to the guys, and I go, yo, you know, somebody wants to buy this vest. A part of me doesn't want to let it go though, because it's like memories, you know,
Right,
and
yeah,
like I appreciate memories and stuff, but I'm like, but the other part of me wants to do it because if it makes somebody really happy,
right.
then you know, then that's really an experience for them, and that's what it's about too. So I went back and I charged him like a very reasonable rate, and he goes,
Uh-huh.
"Can you?" He's like, "Can you sign it for me? Or how much for you to sign it?" And I was like, "Nothing. Like I'm not gonna. I like to me, I'll never charge for my signature. I've
Right,
always said this, and I know people are like, well, you say that now, but when you're bigger, no, dude, because it's a weird thing for me. Like the
right,
concept of me scribbling something on a piece of paper is
right.
like worth something. That's not worth.
Uh-huh.
It's not worth anything. So like
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, honestly, you really want me to devalue this? I'm like, you really
Right.
want me to do that? So
Wow.
so like honestly, I appreciate every moment of it. I take it all in, um I if it means the world to people, I'll sell them my clothes or my vest, whatever it makes, you know, makes people happy. So I'm very appreciative of it for sure.
Well, Joey, it was great talking to you.
Thank you, man. You as
Really,
well.
really pleasurable talking to you. And would you like to say anything to the fans in conclusion?
Yes, thank you so much for an incredible month of this release being out. The response has been incredible. I mean, we are sitting as of today over 720,000 streams with a song that's been out for just a month. Like
Mhm.
it is a special thank you to um, you. Honestly,
Thank you.
I love any sort of interview. Anybody who wants to hear the story, talk about the single. I really
Right.
appreciate that. And that's it. Let's just keep it. Let's keep making waves of this single and keep getting the name out there.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Bye bye.
Bye.